There's a car parked outside a grocery store right now. Engine off, windows cracked. The person inside went to work today. They clocked in, did their job, and did everything right. Tonight, that sedan is the only home they have. Most people associate homelessness with tents on a sidewalk or people sleeping in doorways. While that exists, vehicle dwellers move in a different world. They park in commercial lots after closing time and seek out industrial zones where foot traffic drops to zero. Housing researchers estimate hundreds of thousands of Americans are living in their vehicles for at least part of the year. Official reports consistently undercount this population, largely because the people being counted are actively trying to stay hidden. Invisibility is a survival tactic. For these workers, becoming visible usually leads to a ticket, a tow, or being forced to move on. This cycle allows the people responsible for housing policy to look the other way. Every year, volunteers conduct a point-in-time count, attempting to tally everyone without stable housing on a single night. This method fails vehicle dwellers almost completely. These are people who move every few nights specifically to avoid being noticed by the very people conducting the count. A massive portion of this population belongs to the working homeless. These are citizens who set alarms, commute, and collect paychecks, yet cannot find a place to sleep. This situation arises from basic arithmetic. Housing costs have simply outpaced what many jobs pay. This chart shows the gap. In many cities, you now need to earn more than $25 an hour to afford a basic one-bedroom apartment. For someone in retail, logistics, or healthcare, that gap is a permanent barrier. The math stops working. If you've noticed this happening in your own city, drop a comment. I'm curious where people are seeing this reality while official figures ignore it. When full-time wages fail to cover even a modest apartment, the system is performing exactly as its current math dictates. Economists suggest keeping housing costs under 30% of your income to maintain a buffer for emergencies. Roughly 40% of American renters have already crossed that line. Many spend half their paycheck on rent alone, leaving no margin for error. For families in this position, a single hospital stay or a lost job triggers an immediate crisis. Eviction moves within weeks, not years. Once that housing is lost, the fall is incredibly fast. Poverty creates additional costs that make rebuilding nearly impossible. Losing an apartment often takes your credit score and landlord references with it. Without those, you cannot compete in the modern rental market, no matter how hard you work. The vehicle becomes a long-term solution by default. Over months, chronic sleep disruption and the constant nightly search for a safe parking spot compound the difficulty of ever finding a permanent home. Inflation accelerated this crisis, wiping out the last remaining buffers for households already at the edge. When the cost of groceries, the price of fuel, and healthcare all rise at once, the rent payment is often the only thing left to cut. This housing shortage was engineered through decades of zoning restrictions that blocked multifamily construction. These were specific policy decisions designed to protect property values, which effectively placed a premium on every available square foot. As investment in public housing fell and affordable units were converted into higher-priced luxury rentals, the supply for workers vanished. Politicians prioritized asset holders, leaving the labor force to compete for a shrinking pool of shelter. The result is a market where landlords have little incentive to hold prices steady, and workers have no choice but to absorb the increases until they are pushed out entirely. Over 1 million students in the United States experience homelessness each year. Many of them wake up in a car, wash up in a library restroom, and walk into school trying to look like everyone else. The psychological weight of this secret is enormous. Research shows measurable harm to academic performance and emotional development that persists even after stable housing is eventually found. Shelters are rarely a viable alternative. Most operate at capacity with long waitlists. Many have curfews that conflict with service sector jobs or rules that split up family members by gender. For a parent, a locked vehicle often feels safer and more practical than an overcrowded facility. Many cities respond to this crisis by passing anti-habitation ordinances. They criminalize sleeping in cars through targeted parking tickets that can cost a worker an entire week's grocery budget. When these tickets go unpaid, the vehicle is towed. For a working family, losing that car means losing their shelter and their only way to get to their job. It is an instant, total loss of stability. Enforcement doesn't solve the problem. It just moves it to highway on-ramps and industrial corridors. Moving the symptom to a less visible block doesn't address a single reason those people are there. Safe parking programs provide temporary safety and restrooms, which are vital for daily survival. However, these programs serve only a fraction of the population and do not address the structural conditions pushing people into cars. This crisis will continue to multiply until wages align with real-world costs and cities prioritize the construction of homes over the criminalization of existence. The American economy currently functions through the labor of people it refuses to house. The invisible fleet in our parking lots is the direct result of the choices we've made about what and who gets built. What policy change do you think would actually move the needle on this? Let me know in the comments.